From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, my head is just spinning on this Friday edition. Look at these headlines on drudgereport.com and Infowars.com. California plans to ban all gas cars. Again, that's meant to devastate our economy, shut down our industry. The electric cars take actually more energy to drive and operate and run. But the globalists want to cut off our gasoline and cut off our coal. Then they can strategically manipulate through regulations and deploy only those technologies they wish to the public. It is a new dark age they're creating. Meanwhile, there's another story on Drudge Report. Antifa plans civil war to overthrow government. And this isn't our words. This is video that Steven Crowder's undercover journalist got, going the direction of the wonderful folks at Project Veritas, which, by the way, that's the direction we're going as well. Just going to let you know that on record. And public video and their own statements. And remember, a month ago, we had Mr. Hagman on, Doug Hagman, and he said, we're doing what Veritas has done. We have embedded off-duty and retired police officers and private detectives going to these meetings across the country, and they're handing out AK-47s, shanks. They're planning their attacks on public officials, police, and they're planning the attack coming up the next few months. Well, now we know the date. It's November 4th, and we have the videos. And we don't just have one or two. They're flooding in. I can't even watch them all. They mean business, and they're being funded by George Soros and others. And they think when a bunch of cops get shot in the back of the head or talk show hosts get attacked or more congressmen get shot, that we're going to roll over to them and follow their political correctness and their globalism and gut the country. You people got another thing coming. See, we're winning politically, we're winning intellectually, and they want to overturn that. And they're hopping mad that the economy now is at 3.1, something they say can never happen again. And it's online at current growth rates, be a 3.5 by the end of the year. They don't know what to do. And Trump gets these tax cuts through, the economy is going to roar. And what are they afraid of? They're afraid of the cornucopia of the free market. And they're afraid of that, and they're desperate to break this country's will now. Mainstream media is dying. Democratic Party's dying. The Republican establishment's dying. Anti-establishment candidates are winning across the board. In every special election, Democrats are being defeated, and establishment Republicans are being routed by patriots. And suddenly, the numbers are coming in from black groups, Hispanic groups, and others. They're shifting to conservative or libertarian in massive numbers as the awakening accelerates. The globalists push too hard. So what's going to happen? They're going to go to the violence card, and they're going to go to the false flag card. This is it. Get ready. Stunning report when we come back. I'm going to go through these videos. I'm going to air large excerpts of Crowder's excellent report and his embedded journalist. But I really think folks want to work for InfoWars. We need to vet journalists to get them hired. We've been working on it. And then deploy them to these major universities to just go into these meetings with Antifa where there's men in suits and wealthy people that are directing this. I mean, this is like many other witnesses to it talked about with the weathermen. You'd be in a room with people with PhDs, and they're calmly talking about how they're going to kill 25 million Americans and put another 50 million in internment camps. And that was back in the 70s and 80s. And these same folks are now deeply embedded in our entire government, and they're about to make their move. But we're just reviewing all this intel coming in, and it's all directly from the enemy. And it is just incredible how arrogant they are. It is amazing that they do not realize how criminal they are, and that they believe they're going to be protected. And they're making their move all across the United States. They are activating inside U.S. intelligence, inside the U.S. military, inside the FBI, inside local police, inside universities, inside factories, on farms, in schools. They are activating and openly coming out as communist and saying in the next few months they're going to start killing people en masse. And the president has to move against these folks. Reality Winner, that was the name she changed, as if they didn't know she was mentally ill when she did that. She had a top secret security clearance and was working with ISIS and Al-Qaeda and said that she wanted to kill all white people. And then she finally was so public about it, they had to arrest her. So what's happening is they're just leaving all these people in, and all the Obama embeds that are inside the government are protecting these stables of scum. What am I talking about? Here's a story on News Wars. Antifa Army lieutenant radicalized under Islamicist West Point advisor. Devout communist planned revolution on U.S. soil. And then he announces it at West Point when he graduates. Now here's the big story. Infowars.com. It's on drudgereport.com in the middle column. Antifa plans civil war to overthrow the government. Did you hear that? Antifa plans civil war to overthrow the government. And it's not Paul Watson's words, though he organizes it well. It's their words and a bunch of long videos from universities all over the country, Berkeley being, of course, central, saying we're getting the AK-47s. We've got the shotguns. And handing out the knives to go stab Alan Dershowitz, anybody that tries to go speak at Berkeley. And they say, we're not going to let you speak. We're going to kill people. It's not enough to walk up and hit women in the head with bike locks, or men in the head with bike locks, who just are randomly walking by. But if you look clean cut, got a book bag on your back, you're on a bicycle, you don't have devil tats all over you, you're going to get hit in the head, you're going to get shanked. If you're white, by white people. They're almost all white people. And they want to signal how much they hate white people. So that's why they've got professors and everybody else from Baylor University at college right here in Texas at Waco to Berkeley in San Francisco. They're the radicalizers standing up saying whites need to be genocided. Whites are inherently evil. They must be dealt with. And they are totally full of themselves and completely and absolutely violent. Now, remember who was on almost a month ago, it was 3.5 weeks ago, we're getting the video, Doug Hagman, and they've launched a Project Veritas type operation. And he said, we have detectives and retired police and others inside meetings in San Francisco and other areas, and they are there saying to the world that they are preparing a violent overthrow sometime in November, October. Now, why do you think the communists are suddenly uncloaking themselves? Because after growing under the floorboards, they want to look like a legitimate government when they take over and when they call for the racial war and when they call for the uprising. This is a playbook, and it's from them. They're saying this is happening, and they're being allowed to prepare and gear up for it. What will it be in a month? What will it be in just a few weeks? What will it be? It snuck up on us, hasn't it? It's the October Revolution that stretched into November and December. It's the 100-year anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution. We're here. It's happening now. This is real. What are you going to do about it? It's the big question you've got to ask yourself. Because they mean business. We have to hold our fire, but we have to be prepared and know they're coming over the line. And we've got to be on target and ready. And everybody's got to start packing. Because when they strike, it'll be like fire ants where they crawl up over your legs. When they get in place, one of them that's leading, and it's all genetically engineered, by Mother Nature that way, stings you, releases a pheromone, and all the others sting. Once they get in place, they communicate by pheromones. And it's the same thing. They get all over you, they get in place, and it's going to be boom. You wake up one morning and 300 cops are dead. You wake up and talk show host and members of Congress are wiped out. Trump Towers from Chicago to New York are on fire. So the police don't think they can respond. But there'll be something that happens right before that. A mass shooting at a school, a bombing of a federal building, maybe more, pinned on a right-wing patsy who's a listener of this show. That's why they're putting us all over the news and putting us on Comedy Central with all their drooling viewers to go, here's the bad guy, here's the terrorist. Get ready for this. When it all happens, it's his fault. He made his followers do it. So they false flag, and they'll blame Alex Jones and Donald Trump and Matt Drudge and Rush Limbaugh. And even a lot of other conservative talk show hosts will kind of halfway go along with it because they'll think, oh, my competition's about to get shut down. No, idiot, you're about to get shut down, Bolshevik style. Because that's how it worked. The Bolsheviks said, we've just seized Moscow, but if you turn in your guns and work with us as some of the other political parties, we'll let you rule with us. And just help us get the white Russians. Just help us get the Christian Russians. Just help us get the pro-czarist. Just help us get that one group. And then you're going to be fine. And then they just killed people with each new group of moron traitors that lowered the drawbridge. So we're here. And I'm sure of it, that this whole NFL thing was the activation of this. And my sources concur with that. It's not gone well for them. Trump's approval rating, even with their skewed polls, is up 5 points. Some polls even higher. The economy's coming back on. They're really freaking out. So our revolution is funds and money and success and freedom. And theirs is stabbing people and bombing people and shooting cops in the back of the head. And they think when this all happens, it'll be, oh, look, we just had our commie revolution because we've had enough after this white supremacist or whoever it is they, set up, went and did this horrible event. So now we're done. It's the uprising. Ah! So if there's a big terror attack that they blame on patriots or Christians or conservatives or independent media, that's what they want to shut down, not if, when, you'll have 2 or 3 days of them hyping it to get people to a fever pitch so they can make it look like it was organic. But by the second or third night, you've got to be, if you want to stop these folks, you got to be basically eyes and ears. And they're going to hit at night. They're going to start at about 10 o'clock at night. You got to be waiting on them 2 to 3 days after. I don't think they're going to change their operation. This is too tried and true. You got to be waiting for them, ladies and gentlemen, because they're going to try to overwhelm the police forces in cities they don't control first. And they're going to lay them out. They may also do it in cities they control because they know the police chief will be involved in it and will order basically a stand down. So they're going to make their move. That's where everybody's on edge. And we've really tried to fix this as peacefully as we can. And if the Attorney General, who's completely surrounded, I know, doesn't move on these forces, you need to understand the Antifa idiots are just going to be the cover for the squads and some of the other specialized groups that they're going to be using to decapitate and they think intimidate and confuse patriot government. But you better believe they're going to try to kill conservative Supreme Court justices. You better believe they're going to try to kill Judge Roy Moore, people like that. I mean, it's folks need to know they're coming for you. They're coming for you. October is only a few days away. They're saying their operation launches November 4th. That's probably a diversion. I think the attack's coming in the middle of October. That's just looking at all the pieces. I'd say look for middle of October, but first look for a new Charlottesville, much bigger, or a group of Charlottesville. That's going to be the cover for the detonation. On August 25th, over a month ago, my memory thought it was about 3.5 weeks ago, Doug Hagman, who runs a law enforcement training center in New Jersey, has a lot of amazing contacts I've learned from experience in the decade plus I've been having him on, told us that he was very concerned because from the East Coast to the West Coast to Illinois as well, they had retired police officers and private detectives that he had recruited through a law enforcement organization to go to hundreds of Antifa meetings, and that they were being centrally programmed by executives, very professional, high-ranking people in the community, preparing them for a mass uprising with weapons, including open discussion of killing police officers, open discussion of overthrowing government. Hashtag undercover Antifa, MSM ignores video of Antifa planning stabbing and shooting attacks. Now that's louder with Crowder today. That's up on Infowars.com. But also what's happening is we searched Antifa listed as terror organization just 5 minutes ago. And Zach, one of the producers, was able to recreate it. So we're going to shoot a video later and upload this so radio listeners can see it. But Google was trying to not let him go to it, saying this is questionable information, even though it was Politico that he was going to. So they're even penalizing Politico, kind of like they called up this year Forbes. Google executives called them, and I've gotten Google calls before. As soon as I didn't play ball, I couldn't talk to their vice presidents anymore. I never did play ball. But they said, listen, don't write articles critical of this or that, or critical of Antifa, or you're going to be delisted as fake news. So you have the big super internet companies, these giant monopolies now, coming in and saying, we don't even want you to get to this information. Now, they said they were going to start doing this to restrict fake news or to tell you, hey, this is questionable content. It's not like you're on your phone and then ask, put in this number so we know you're a human, not a bot. It's beyond that. It's keeping you from sharing virally and quickly even the links. There it is. Google and Facebook take aim at fake news sites. And so I guess that's Politico and the London Independent now. No, they're going to cover for Antifa just like they did in the Arab Spring, covering for Morrissey, overthrowing the government, killing hundreds of thousands of people. They're going to protect it during the October Revolution 100 years later, but this time in America. And then I've got the clip from Doug Hagman in late August saying, we have our sources, they're embedded, we have this. It's been given to law enforcement. And I now know he had this info and gave it to law enforcement and gave it to media. They wouldn't run it. Same thing with Veritas. Same thing with the great folks over at Louder with Crowder. That's their big report that Paul reports on today. The media had this weeks ago. Nightline, all of them. They don't want to show you people saying, we're handing out the weapons, we're getting ready to kill everybody. You're talking like real helter-skelter, Charlie Manson level stuff nationwide. Zach, tell folks what happened when you tried to visit mainstream news sites.
Yeah, so I was basically looking up the clip of what had happened just when the first time that CNN was starting to support Antifa, and they were trying to ask a question about what it is before they were designated as a terrorist group. And I remember in New Jersey, The Department of Homeland Security, I believe, was the one who did it. So I went to go look it up on Google, and I got a capture warning by Google basically saying, hey, there's some unusual activity on your Google searches. Please verify if you are a robot or not.
If you just joined us, Antifa plans civil war to overthrow the government. That's on drudgereport.com today, right in the middle column. It's also on newswars.com. It's a Paul Joseph Watson article. We're going to get to that in a moment. You've got Steven Crowder's undercover folks getting video. You've got the people at Veritas getting these similar videos. You've got our camera crews getting these videos out in the open. They're saying this. We have a flood of Antifa saying they are preparing with weapons, knives, guns to kill conservatives, patriots, and white people en masse. And ladies and gentlemen, when you go look at these crowds or these videos, 90% of the people are white. I don't want to demonize white people. I don't blame any group for what other people in the group do, but it's a fact that it is weird social justice warrior, crazed, self-hating white people that are trying to ignite a race war in America. Now, here is Doug Hagman on August 26 on this broadcast, a month ago plus, laying out his sources and the undercover audio and video they're getting. The full interview is an hour long. It's up on Infowars.com, but it should be added to Paul Joseph Watson's article because this is just more proof. So here is a clip of private investigator Doug Hagman.
Briefly, for those just joining, essentially we have a handful of investigators across the country, specific cities investigating and infiltrating these fascist groups. They've successfully done so in many cases. The latest report early this morning, 4:10 Eastern time this morning, saying, look, this one particular meeting in San Francisco, so well organized, the tactics, the training being very professional, the age of people there range from late 60s, perhaps early 70s, all the way down to late teens. This is the resist fascism movement. That's what they're calling themselves, but it's actually a fascist
movement. And the report says it's a lot of professionals. These aren't just the average meth head.
Yeah, exactly. These are above these are the people who are sending out the cannon fodder. The idiots you see in the street with the baseball or the bicycle helmets on and the baseball bats. I mean, those people are the useful idiots. The hire a stooge for a day or two and go out there and take a few whacks. Okay, that's who those people are. These people are the planners. These people are the architects of the chaos that we're seeing.
The brains.
Yeah, exactly. However, they're bringing in these professionals to teach, as you said, the weapons, self-defense.
They're force multiplying a revolutionary group.
Yep. Yeah. And
so it goes on. He breaks it all down, the plans to use weapons. And now we have hours of video. So no one can say this is edited, of just private meetings on the streets, just pouring in. And you go out to these things and they run over and scream, die, F you. They pour coffee on you. They have their kids doing it. This is what they're doing out in the open. Can you imagine the frothing, insane hate? And you think, well, so what if Tom Brokaw calls you a total racist? Nobody believes him. Yeah, 90% of people know that's bull, but there's a good 10% that literally think they are Captain America fighting Red Skull. In fact, more and more, they're showing up. They've put real comics out showing Captain America beating up the Tea Party a few years ago, and I'm one of the people Captain America beats up. And these people read it. They show up as live-action role players, and they just start attacking men, women, and children because they believe, take that, Hitler! So 3 years ago, they'd all go out to a park and have simulated battle with each other with rubber swords and rubber spears, dressed like elves and goblins. Good fun. I've driven by and seen it at parks and got out and watched it. It looks like they're having a good time. But see, here's the deal. They're not just playing Dungeons and Dragons, in a field. They're now, ladies and gentlemen, believe they're battling Red Skull. Now, we can make jokes about the chirping goblin that attacked me, and the media even tries to spin it. Oh, it's fake. Oh, Jones just goes out there and it just happens. I shot more than 20 videos on the streets of Seattle when I was there for a week. I shot them live. A lot of you watched them. Every time I went out, somebody said F you or got in my face or threatened to attack me. One time when the camera wasn't rolling, I walked out of a restaurant and a guy acted like he was going to hit me with his Range Rover. I had to jump out of the way, and I thought, did that guy try to just hit me? He rolls the window and goes, F you. And I couldn't help it. I just said, man, get out of the car. He goes, he thought he was real tough. I said, just get out. Just go ahead. So, he was not against folks with tats, but, he had big muscles and tats all over him. He was going to show off. And I said, you're a coward, thug, punk. Just because of your politics on the yard, you're not going to get out of that car. So I said, get out. And say that to my face right now. So he drove down the street while I was walking, calling me all these names, calling me gay. Oh, I thought you're so liberal. Oh, Alex is gay, so let's put him down. He called me the pejorative terms. And of course, my response to somebody does that's always say, I'm a Russian agent, yeah. Or you say I'm gay, okay, yeah, I am. You say I'm Jewish and that somehow is bad, okay, I'm Jewish. Then let's just move forward. I'm not Jewish. It doesn't matter, though. I'd be proud if I was. I'm going to go to Israel. I want to see Israel. They're going to say I went there to get my orders. I can't live in this world of these mentally ill people where they want to dictate and try to bully me into submission. I'm not going to sit there and go along with it. But I'm digressing. They're planning a civil war. They're pushing it in the NFL. This is all being directed, and they want to make it racially based, where if you're not a liberal, that means you're a Nazi, so you deserve to be beat up, you deserve to be fired, you deserve to be thrown out by your landlord, you deserve to be killed. It's called a cultural revolution. It's a Mao model. You go to UT, where they have the Red Guard that openly march with AK-47s in Austin. They've told me to my face, you wait till the revolution starts, you're dead, Jones. And they've been beavering away behind the walls like termites forever. And now they're just spilling out. Imagine you are an officer, just graduated from Army's West Point. And at graduation, you have a hat saying communism will win. They've got the big banks. They've got the mainstream media. They've got everything. And they believe they're invincible. And that's why they're coming out in the open, because they're getting ready to D-Day. They're getting ready to launch their attack. Antifa Army lieutenant radicalized under Islamist's West Point advisor. Dan Lyman, newswars.com. What an important article. Devout communists planned revolution on U.S. soil. He's saying violence. We're going to kill people. We're getting ready to do it. He's prepared to lead the attack. He's wearing a Che Guevara shirt underneath his dress uniform. And he was taught this at West Point. A U.S. Army lieutenant exposed himself as a radical communist on Twitter last week, prompting a firestorm in the new media and the deep dive into his background, revealing that he was closely mentored by an Islamist professor. Look at the former CIA director. Look at the former intelligence director. All of them are Wahhabists. You can't make this up. Sorry. A deep dive into his background, revealing that he was closely monitored by an Islamist professor at West Point. InfoWars was one of the first to break the story of Second Lieutenant Spencer Rapone, who posted photos of himself in dress uniform, flashing a sign that read, "Communism will win," and proudly bearing a Che Guevara shirt beneath his military jacket, even though Che Guevara said Mexican Indians were cockroaches. Rapone is now under a former military investigation, but not for what he was wearing. The stuff on his Facebook says the violence is coming, get ready. We're going to kill capitalists. It has been discovered that Rapone's cadet advisor was Dr. Rashid Hossein, a man with whom Rapone grew close. Ugh. They reportedly traveled to India together. Oh, good Lord. According to examinations of Rapone's online history, his metamorphosis into an anti-American revolutionary appears to sync with the development of the camaraderie with Hossein. I can't read anymore. Go read it for yourself and see all the evidence. It's up to you to get this out. And this is just a snapshot of one of these roaches, one of these termites coming out in the light. Little arrogant demon. Talking about how much he hates America, how much he wants to walk around in our blood. You know what really isn't good about this is that these people aren't even worth fighting, except we have to. But I mean, there's no, if it comes to a shooting war, it's like they're not even a worthy opponent. They're just trash. It's just taking out the garbage. Taking out the garbage. I mean, let's take a look again. We can make jokes about this, but this is an actual chirping, gibbering goblin creature that attacked me with coffee. Imagine when the green light comes for violence, what these chirping, hopping creatures will do. Here it is.
You're trash.
Hey, come tell me on camera. Come tell me on camera. Come tell me on camera. Come here, coward. Come here, coward. Right here on camera. Right here. Tell people intellectually who you are.
Intellectually who I am?
Go ahead, yeah. Yeah.
I'm your mama. I'm your mama.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Yeah, talk. Look at you. Yeah, this is what they turn the people into. This is it right here. Literal slave of the system. Yeah, can't even talk. Look at you. This is what they turn the people into.
Love so hard to find.
Literal slave of the system. See that? That's who they are. Look at the slave. There's hours of this up on Infowars.com, but here's 5 minutes of the undercover report from louderwithcrowder.com. Antifa plans civil war to overthrow the government is where you find it on drudgereport.com. You got to go read this because there's a bunch of videos. This is just one of them from around the country. The Revolutionary Communist website, the main socialist groups, all of them say November 5th, and they're already blocking roads. We have video of that in California, in LA, and other areas saying, get ready, it's coming. So they want violence, they want death. And remember, no matter how many people they attack, whatever, you fight back, you're going to be a horrible person in the news. So the scum of the earth is now coming out of their dungeons, out of their little minion holes. Everybody should be aware of it. Here is part of that report. And remember, this was all given to the media weeks ago. We reported it a month ago plus from our sources. This was all given to the media, just like all the election fraud news, all of it. And they chose not to run hours of this sensational stuff. And the police are doing nothing. Because, you know, that's American pie now, is dirty communist and Antifa fascists that want to go out and hurt people. And they're planning violence and mass murder. See, nowadays, Charlie Manson wanted this back in the 60s. Nowadays, Charlie Manson would be a congressman. He'd get up there and talk about killing white people and how they're the devil, or black people, or vice versa, with a swastika between his crazy eyes. Helter-skelter, and they'd say, oh, make that man a congressman. Here it is.
The idea is just plain clothes and hard tactics, and I don't think they'll know what hit them because they're not prepared for what we're planning.
Here, you're gonna take the knife. How much
In order to get in with the Antifa crowd, we had to infiltrate their private groups. After news broke that they were officially classified as a domestic terrorist organization, they pulled everything in much closer to the chest. They started vetting people, becoming paranoid about spies. They demanded we meet with them in person, installing a cryptic messaging app onto our phone, which they used to organize.
So I just met with the guy, and he installed a super secret encrypted messenger app on my phone, and they immediately took roll call, using all pseudonyms such as Firebird, Ski Mask, Xavius. Yeah, everyone except for Will.
Yes, Will, whom we immediately identified on Facebook. Will also boasted of his sawed-off shotguns and armory in his trunk. At least that's what he said.
I have a toolbox of full shit.
Did you bring your gun?
I have like on the border between just a regular rifle and an assault weapon and a sawed-off style shotgun. It's a fan.
Yeah, like last
supplies.
ditch.
Blue Subaru with a dent on the side, on the driver's side. That's mine.
So remember, just as the local authorities will remember, This is Will. What happened to you, Will?
And then I've got a handgun. Yeah, we got 2 AKs coming. If you go down to like the military surplus store, the Navy surplus store, whatever, you can get like a K-bar for like $30-40, and it's just a combat knife. It's fixed blade, 5 inches or so, but it's just you strap it on your leg and you're good to go. I mean, this one's like tiny, so you have to really stab them the whole lot. Yeah, and like last ditch is gonna be lure them down here.
Whoa, 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 hold. Luring people to their cars with sawed-off shotguns and handing out knives and shivs. This went far beyond a goof, and we needed to get Nake Jared out of there. Good thing the man's got a quick mind.
Is there a place to shit around here? I don't know this campus.
And to the right.
All right, I'll be right back. You guys could be in a few minutes.
Yes, at the risk of being called a snitch, Nake Jared immediately turned the footage over to the authorities, who were already aware of our presence there, by the way. Turns out they'd been tracking this pansexual / transgender queer with an axe to grind for a while, and they were grateful for our footage. The media, on the other hand, who you think would jump on a story like this, well, their response is what's most disturbing of all. He was just down there at President's Circle, and they were handing out sharp objects to stab people with, said they had someone coming with an AK. Why did it take 2 late-night hosts, comedians, to find this out?
You know what, I wish you guys luck.
Even being shown the footage in the presence of police officers to confirm authenticity, they walked away. Also, I should note, this is Dan Harris from Nightline, national ABC News. He knew about the footage and the whole story, too. I offered it to him and asked for his card. He did not give it to me. We were delivering a story to local and national news.
All right, folks, we're going to come back with more of this. Again, this is amazing. And by the way, Crowder's a real comic who's actually doing real news. You've got all these fake comics that then pose as myself every night to misrepresent what we stand for and call us racist so that mentally ill people that they're winding up then kill us. That's what this is. This is a build-up towards revolution, a build-up towards a new October revolution with the 100th anniversary coming up in just a week. I'm the type of guy that really doesn't build stuff up. I always just cut right to the chase. I should have been saying this from the very beginning of the broadcast. Brandon Tatum, who's got, I can't even count it all up. It was like 55 million views this week on a couple of his videos. And he's an Army veteran. He's a police officer. He's a former champion athlete. Really smart guy. And I mean, he's a way better speaker than I am at just crystallizing it all down. And we're excited about him going to be on the broadcast in the 3rd hour, and we're flying him here next week. He's going to be in studio with us. So I'm telling you, I'm sure he's a great cop, but the guy needs to have a career on TV and radio. And it's just amazing. So he's got the video breaking down how ridiculous the NFL is, and just in 6 minutes does what I do in like an hour. Just boom, boom, boom. I mean, it's like a perfect 10. He just lays it logically out, calmly, but focused with a little bit of anger. It's a hole-in-one, and all his videos are great. So he's going to be joining us live coming up. That is quite a lineup for you today. And then, of course, we have Jack Posobiec hosting the 4th hour, another great patriot who lays it all out so clearly. And I do want to open the phones up just briefly. Before I go any further, we need your financial support. I want to hire a bunch of people, but I'm trying to look at the budget because I'm all in this year, spending everything on expansion, adding those shows, adding more broadcasters, adding more camera crews. We're going to send a crew into Puerto Rico to get some attention on that. There's still no power. We've got folks reporting on the ground to us in Puerto Rico, but they're have run out of power just from batteries to be able to even talk to us. I mean, it's dire. So it takes a lot of money to fund all this, obviously. So please, buy a lot of products from InfoWarsStore.com. They're game-changing supplements and nutraceuticals. Really great. InfoWars.com, ball hats, shirts. But we got Molon Labe shirts, you know, so much more. If you want to make a stand for free speech and wear a Trump's My President shirt, then that's great. Or an InfoWars.com shirt. We've also got them that, just say Molon Labe. And the little communist won't know what that is because they're so stupid and won't stab you in the back. But they really are trying to intimidate everybody right now into submission. We've got CNN's fake news shirts. We have the new Dayglow Hunters, InfoWars.com hats from Richardson. Best quality out there in my view. Everybody loves the hats. We've got the InfoWars.com hats also with the snake In fact, I saw Matt's wearing one of them in there in the control room. You might show a camera shot of that. It's a very nice hat. I wear it myself. So again, InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139.
What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com.